This episode is brought to you by 4R Construction in Rosette, Wyoming. Hello, and welcome to Brassy Business Podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with business owners and what they have done to make their businesses shine. I am your host, Haley Ruff, and let's talk business. Last week was my birthday, so here is the update. I worked all day long, but that was okay because I had not had a day where I just stayed home for a while. So it was nice to stay home and get some work done. So that was super nice. I had lots of birthday wishes and I went out to supper with my family and a friend, and we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. And it was a good day overall. It definitely was not one that will like super stick out of all the birthdays that I've had, but sometimes that's okay to just have a low-key chill birthday. So that's what I had and I'm good with it. So it was a good birthday all in all. So cheers. Here's to 33. This week on the podcast, I have a guest who is a food-based, herb-based company. She sources all of her product and makes it from home, with that choosing top of the line ingredients to make sure that it is the healthiest for your body, and everything that she makes she gives to her own family. So it has her stamp of approval when she's giving it to her own family too. So I'm curious to hear about food inspectors and the hoops that she has to jump through and just the feedback that she's got on some of her products. So this week I am talking with Brianne East of the Buckin Farmacy out of Moorcroft, Wyoming. All right. Hey guys. So today I am here with Brianne East of the Buckin Farmacy. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So can you just take a minute, introduce yourself, introduce your business?
Yes. So my name is Brianne East, and I live between Moorcroft and Sundance. And I started the Buckin Farmacy, became official in 2020 when my twins were babies. We started actually with elderberry syrup in 2018 when my oldest daughter started kindergarten and she kept getting sick. And we don't do flu shots, so we wanted to go a more natural route. And a friend had actually mentioned elderberry syrup. So I started researching and found a recipe that actually worked for our family. And it is what it is now.
It is what it is now.
Right.
So you and I actually have known each other for a while. Mm-hmm. I met you when I had the boutique, mm-hmm. and when I had Rusty Soul and whatnot. So it's been fun to kind of watch this come to life and see how much you've grown. So it's been exciting for like your followers too.
For sure.
Yeah. So can you tell me how you came up with your name? Because I love it. It's not just how like it's said, but how it's spelt is really unique too. So how did you come up with that?
When I decided to go ahead and turn it into a business in 2020, I knew that I wanted to have the word pharmacy, F-A-R-M, in my name, but I didn't want to just call it the pharmacy. I wanted something Wyoming themed, Wyoming based, that kind of stuff. And so my husband loves the Wyoming bucking horse.
Steamboat.
Yeah. And so he said, what if you just say the Buckin Farmacy? And so I kind of liked how it sounded. It was kind of catchy. And so it stuck. So that's what we decided to go with.
I love it. So, it's so unique. And like the farm kind of like encases the whole mission behind your business, that you use natural products and
yes,
all that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does for sure. So working in the food sector, you have to have a certain set of rules that you have to follow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about the rules and regulations that you have to follow? And is it different for each product? Is it all like everything has to be done a certain way?
So right now I work under the Wyoming Food Freedom Act, to where I can do it at home, which is what I currently do. And there are specific rules that I need to go by. Wyoming is one of the few states that has, actually it is the state that has the leanest food freedom laws, which is very nice. And they keep making adjustments every few years too. My labeling, I'm probably more specific with my labeling than other people here in Wyoming, just because my product, I take pride in my product and I want it to look nice also. And so it takes me a lot of time to create the label to go with my products. All of them are covered under the Wyoming Food Freedom Food Freedom Act. So we're good there as far as product wise goes. There's no difference between the laws between the different products.
Okay.
So
cool. So then does it have to be labeled a certain way or anything like that?
There are ways that it does need to be labeled. There's actually kind of a funny story that I want to share too that happened recently. I had a store reach out to me that I have my products in, and they had said that the health inspector our county's health inspector had come in to do their inspection and everything, and said that the wordage that I had on my labeling was incorrect and that I needed to change it. So, it was just a courtesy. So she called me and gave me a heads up. So I went ahead and changed it as he requested it. Then he had went into a different store that I had the same product in, and he had said, that labeling was incorrect, which kind of coincided with what he had told the previous store. So I didn't really want to reach out to him yet because I was extremely nervous. It was more insecurity on my part, and it made me nervous to try to call him, which now looking back, I should have to begin with. So anyways, it got to the point where he said he was going to make that store pull my product out because the wordage on my labeling. So at that point, I went ahead and called him. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's figure this out. Come to find out, what he had told the original store was incorrect. And so he just hadn't reached out to me to tell me about it. I had to reach out to him. So we have everything where it needs to be, law wise. So that's kind of where that led to.
Right.
Yeah, it was. So we're all good. Everybody's on the same page now. And there's just been little learning curves along the way.
Right. Absolutely. Sure. So can you kind of tell us what variety of products do you provide?
So I first started with elderberry syrup, and then I kind of leaned more towards tea, like a tea line. I have two different tea blends. One is straight loose leaf tea, and the other one is actually little individual tea bags.
Okay.
And they're both made specifically from me. I created the recipe. My first tea blend I almost gave up on because it was extremely hard. There's so many herbs that are very good for our bodies.
Okay.
And all different aspects of our health. And I wanted everything in it. And I'm not kidding. I probably had like 10 herbs in this first blend, and it just tasted terrible. I mean, it looked pretty. It just did not taste very good.
It had all the health benefits, but not the taste.
Right. And so I was really frustrated. And it was like 3 months. I was working on it a little bit every week and just could not get down to the bottom of it. Had some people testing it out, and it just wasn't jiving. So my last day, I told my husband, this is the last time that I'm working on it. And if I can't figure it out this time, I'm done. I'm just not meant to do tea. So I actually plucked out like 3 or 4. I say plucked out. I took out 3 or 4 of the herbs that I put in there, and it was perfect.
Oh, nice.
And it's actually one of our best selling teas to this day. Yeah. So I'm pretty proud of that one. I also brought in the easy pour lids that go on top of your elderberry syrup jars. They actually fit on top of any regular mouth mason jar. And that actually helps pour the elderberry syrup out better without having to spill. So that was kind of a little jackpot that I found that worked for us that I wanted to share with everybody else too. And then I worked into doing elderberry DIY kits, elderberry syrup DIY kits.
Do you have one out here?
I do, yes. And I actually just did a reel on it. I believe it was last week. Everything is in here. We're a family of 6. We have 4 kids. So I want everything simplified and easy and, make it smooth. So that's actually kind of what I base most of my products around, the conveniences.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to offer something and there is, I'll use, for example, the elderberry syrup. If I'm going to offer something, the elderberry syrup, well, we all know it's going to make a mess whenever you start pouring it out. So how do you fix that? Well, you get the lid.
Right.
And so there you go. Then you're good to go. Smooth sailing after that. So I also offer just the dried elderberries. We use just organic ingredients in all of our products too.
So what would you do with just the dried elderberries?
So you can do a number of things. Some people, they make kombucha. We have one customer that she makes.
Didn't you just do your own batch of this?
Yeah, for us personally, but yeah, yeah. I actually have 2 gallons going up on the counter now. So we're kind of in the kombucha type phase right now, and the kids love it too. And it's a probiotic, and it's good for other things too. But that's the biggie, is the probiotic. But I also have some people, like I've made muffins with it. So some people bake with it. Some people they make their own tea also, and I actually have on the back of the bag a recipe. I just called it a simple tea recipe, and it's very easy: water, elderberries, cinnamon stick, and you can add some honey to it if you want. Yeah, one starting with elderberry syrup and then just kind of blossoming into several other things. Elderberry honey, that's kind of a process to do too. And then I just started elderberry extract little over a week ago. So that
one's a process to make, isn't it?
That takes 8 weeks. Yes.
Okay. Because I thought that I saw when I was looking at your Facebook and whatnot before to prepare for this interview, that you said it was going to be like 3 months before you would have it available again. Is that what I read?
2, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a process. I actually had a customer back in October request extract, and I had kind of thought about beforehand kind of dipping into that and playing around with it, but I wasn't sure what the demand was for it, so I didn't bother until she reached out. And then I thought, okay, well, here's kind of my push to go ahead and do that. So I started it in October, and it wasn't ready obviously until December,
right?
Which is, I'm in like the depths of my busy season. And so I got hers all prepped, and then some of the batch that I just released here a little over a week ago was from that. So
cool.
So yeah, it was fun. My favorite part is making the labels.
Really?
Creating the labels. Yes. I know. Weird. I'm so picky with labels, but
well, they all look beautiful. Don't worry. I'll take a picture. I'll have a video so you guys can see all these labels. I promise. But with kind of jumping back on what we were talking about before, with the regulations and whatnot, is there any like levels or anything that you have to track on the batches of liquids?
So no, but I do.
Okay, you do personally.
Yeah, I do personally. So every batch of syrup that I do check the pH levels and everything to make sure that it is where it needs to be. So because they're heat sealed, so they can stay out at room temperature until you open it. Once you open it, put it in your fridge or your freezer too, if you use a little bit of it before you pop it in your freezer. But it's not required under the Food Freedom Act, but I do it anyways. More of like a set of ease to myself too.
So what happens if the pH levels are off?
I've actually never had them off.
But hypothetically, if they were to be off.
If they were off, it could possibly, it would ferment. It wouldn't, because there's no sugar in my elderberry syrup. What is in there as a sweetener is honey. Okay. And honey would realistically turn into mead, is basically. So like you'd be drinking like elderberry wine pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a product.
Right? Yeah. I know people who do make mead with the elderberries too.
I love it. So you make all of these from scratch.
I do.
Correct?
Yes.
So that has to be a learning experience on itself, because we've kind of talked about even your first batch of tea. You're like, all right, this is it. This is my last week and I am done. So what other struggles have you kind of had that have came up along the way?
More so flavoring, because there's so many good herbs out there. I keep running into that where I want to mix this and mix this and mix this, but they don't go well together. Okay. That's my biggest struggle with it. But I'm working on a new tea right now, and that's where I'm trying to figure out. There's a lot to the teas than what people think. I mean, it's different if you copy off somebody's recipe, right, or Pinterest or whatever. But I'm not going to be that. I don't want to be that way. I want it to be unique to my own business. It's my brand. It's my business. So I take pride in the work that I create. And so it is a process.
So what you're telling me is that teas may look like they're easy, but getting all the flavors and herbs to mix just right is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes.
It can be a struggle for sure. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So I personally love to talk about social media. Like, I'm on social media. It's how I promote things. But what do you do to use it to your benefit for your business?
Well, so I primarily use Facebook. I have Facebook and Instagram. I don't really know how to use Instagram. My husband's second oldest daughter actually set it up for me when she was out visiting before. She uses that for her business, which is done well. I don't know how to use it. And more of the people who I sell my product to are more Facebook type people, their families, that kind of stuff, or older retired people, so that's what I primarily use. It's free. Yes. I mean, you can't complain about it being free. It is a lot of work to try to, to create, to think of different things to promote, and different things just to talk about, to kind of keep, because the algorithm is weird. It's
so weird.
It is weird. And like one post I can get, 50 something likes, and the next one I get like 2. And it's like the one that got 2 likes, that was more important than the one that, got 50. Like it's really weird, and trying to stay consistent with it. Last year I was more consistent with it than what I have been these last few months. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of a struggle, but I mean, we're getting there, like slowly but
surely. So you sell primarily, that was a hard word, in stores. Mm-hmm. So that had to have been a big goals of yours. Can you tell me about like the process that you had to go through to get into, how many stores are you in?
13.
And then where are your products? So if we have somebody that's close, they can go look for them.
Mm-hmm. So the very first store that I went into was the summer of 2020 when I first started the Buckin Farmacy. And that was Uniquely Wyoming in Gillette. Okay. And this was at their old location. And I don't remember it was kind of an off side street. I actually just went in there. I knew that I wanted to get in somewhere. I just didn't know where in Gillette. And I knew of Uniquely Wyoming, and I had shopped there before. So I thought, well, I'll just, we're in town anyways. Let's go see what's new there. So we picked up a few things and ended up talking to, she was the owner at the time, and asked her, are you looking for anybody new? This is what I have. And, I'm not in any stores yet. So this is something that I'm kind of, it would be nice to join the store.
Right.
So, and she was wonderful. She welcomed me with open arms, and I'm still in that store now, 4 years later.
We sell our eggs in there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I'm the egg lady in there.
Yeah. It's a nice store. It really is. And I've extended, when I first started, I had 2 shelves, and now I have the whole shelf, which has ended up being 4 in total. I have to actually go later this week to restock. And then I guess really more so getting into stores, going in there and actually just talking to them and just kind of feeling out, hey, I have this business, and is this something that you guys would maybe be interested in having me join? Mm-hmm. Other stores have reached out to me, which is cool. I remember the first one, it was a compliment.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
say the least. Yeah. So, and then some of the stores that I do now, I pay rent and or commission. I am starting to lean more toward wholesale. Yeah. I do sell. It's probably half and half right now with the amount of stores that I'm in, who buys wholesale and who I pay rent and commission on. Uh-huh. So my goal this year is to lean more toward the wholesale side of things. I have no plans on opening up my own storefront, but I do want to focus on making sure that the stores are stocked, the stores that I'm in are stocked. And then I also expanding to more stores, if that makes sense. So more stores that kind of line up with like the same type of goals that I have. When I first started going into stores, when you first start a business, you're hustling.
Right.
You're
any sale is a sale.
Exactly. Yeah. So any store that I was like, okay, so I was in like 3 stores in Gillette, and I'm like, 2 of them were doing great. 1, not so much, but I just kept hanging on to that one. Cause I'm like, like it's a sale, it's a sale, it's a sale. And it just got to the point it was just too stressful, and an extra stop that I had to make with 4 kids. And yeah, so I went ahead and pulled out of that one. And when I pulled out of that one in Gillette, I actually ended up gaining 3 more, and I'm still in all those 3 today. And they're actually excelling way better than the one store I ended up pulling out of. Okay. So, when I first started, it was any and every, I said yes to everything. Like it was, looking back now. Yeah. If I could change that part of it, I would, But I mean, when you're first starting, you want to get your name out there and you want people to trust you and learn your product. That's the most important part, is and actually see that it works.
Right. Well, and how do you know that something is going good unless something is going bad too?
Exactly.
Like you said, it's a learning curve.
It very much was. Yeah. So
where is your, okay, so we're in Northeast Wyoming. Where is your furthest store from us?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. That's exciting.
Yeah. Well, and Green River. I'm sorry, Green River too, because I think Green River is a little bit further than Cheyenne from here.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it's
I don't
maybe
know,
like an
they're
hour
like
difference.
complete
Complete
opposite
opposite
corners.
parts of the state. It's either Cheyenne or Green River, one of the two.
And how many total are you in?
I'm in 13 stores altogether. So
that's exciting.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It is really cool to see it expand and just to network with other business owners that kind of align with the same type of goals that I want to have, or
right,
that I have too. So it's been fun.
So then where's the next goal? Like, if you could get into a store tomorrow, where would it be?
So there is, this sounds probably kind of silly. There is a grocery store in Sundance.
Okay.
And I have my kids go to school there.
Yep.
So I actually have a lot of customers in Sundance now. And I'm at a boutique and I do great there. They're open 2 days a week though. And it would be nice to get into some place where they're open like 7 days a week also, just in case, like on a weekend, if one of like my customers are sick and they want to get some syrup or get some tea, they can run to the grocery store. I actually haven't made the time to call him or go in and talk to him.
Right.
So, but that's one of my goals. And then there's also some bigger farmers markets around the state, like year-round indoor farmers markets, similar to Casper and the Gillette indoor farmers markets. Those would be kind of nice to get into also.
So how would you go about that? Would you like have somebody with your product that would go for you, or would you be going?
It would be me.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's me, myself, and I with this product. So yeah.
So that would be a big commitment.
It would be, yes. That's the nice part about shipping though, is some of the products I can ship to them. And it would be where I could cover the shipping on that, and it would be worth it.
Right.
So that's the Green River store anymore. That's what I'm doing, is just shipping it down there. So I do have a girlfriend that lives in Green River, and she kind of keeps track of everything down there and then gets a hold of me. We'll kind of deja vu in Casper on a weekend. And I'll give her some more product to drop off for me, but I haven't seen her since December. So it'll probably be a little bit before I see her again.
Oh, funny. So you're in stores.
Yes.
What other streams of revenue do you have then?
So I do have a website.
Okay.
Also. And that's thebuckinfarmacy.com. And so when I first started, I have kind of a story with that. When I first started the Buckin Farmacy and I wanted to start a website, this was November of 2022, October, November. I had reached out to a family friend who actually, I don't think she does it anymore, but she was building websites for people and doing some marketing and stuff. And I thought, okay, cool. This is somebody that I know personally. You know, she can, not that I wanted her to cut me some kind of discount or anything, but just that she knew me personally. So she would know kind of my style, that kind of stuff on what to build for the website. So we talked on the phone, and she was actually very discouraging of it. And she said, I think I would just be taking your money. And she said, I charged like, $700-800 to build a website. And, it's just, you're just starting and blah, 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 blah. While I could see her point to a certain extent, I had the mindset of, okay, challenge accepted. So I went through a third party I use the platform Wix.
Okay.
And I use Wix instead of Shopify, because Shopify is better more for like product that's changing constantly, where Wix, not so much.
Okay.
And my product isn't changing in and out all the time. So that's why I went with Wix. So I went through a third party guy, contractor, whatever, through them. He lived in Houston. Called me 8:30 at night whenever I sent in the request for the third party. We were on the phone for over an hour, and he had it whipped up the next week.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was $800, but I made that within the first month.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so who won that challenge?
Right.
Like that. So I use that as kind of my motivation to prove people wrong, I guess, in a certain extent. And I don't think she meant this gal, I don't think she meant any harm at all by any of that stuff, but it was very discouraging. I want to see every business owner succeed. So if somebody's coming hot out the gate, that's awesome. Like
Right.
keep at it. You stay consistent. Don't let one person discourage you.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Nope.
So that's kind of my thought process on that. So that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of kind of like goals and what your business is like moving to, what goals are you working towards with this business?
So again, I'm not looking to open up my own storefront,
Mm-hmm.
but my goal here in the next year is to build a shop. So we've actually looked at property. My kids go to school in Sundance. We've actually looked at property in Sundance to buy that already had some shops on it, vacant land. And not only is it not affordable, it wouldn't work for what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I say we, my husband and I. So we're actually looking at building a shop out here on the property and putting the commercial kitchen in there, moving everything out there from in the house currently, and having that basically be my workshop. And then from there, really push online sales. Realistically, I'll probably hire some kind of marketing of some sort to really hit several platforms, different social media platforms. And then probably more commercial, like grocery stores throughout the state, and into possibly like South Dakota and maybe even Montana, possibly Nebraska. Well, I'm from Nebraska, so I kind of have some connections with that there. But I guess it just kind of depends on what their rules are at that time, because laws are changing constantly. So,
yeah, for sure.
But the biggie is more online based and more store based,
right?
Than my own store.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of double down on that wholesale to get the bulk into a store at once.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make it just really to kind of make it worth it more than anything.
And let them do the hard work.
Yeah. Drop it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Drop it off. Forget about it.
Let the product speak for itself. Come back for more.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So like I said, I always look into social media and websites and everything before I do an interview. Mm-hmm. And when I was looking through yours, you share a lot of other businesses' posts. Mm-hmm. So can you kind of tell me like why you do that? What's your thoughts behind it? Who do you try to share?
Yes. So since starting this business, I've networked with a lot of other small business owners that are kind of in a sense, in kind of the same field as mine, natural health, natural products, mm-hmm. Organic based, that kind of thing. So I want to see their businesses succeed as much as I want to see mine succeed. So if I can help even just plant that little mustard seed, then I will.
Right.
And using their product on myself or my family, and knowing that it works for us, I want to share that with others. So that way they, not only does it help the business owner, but the customer is also benefiting from it too.
Right. Kind of like the whole, you want everybody to have a holistic health, mm-hmm. as much health approach. I think that's the words I'm going for, as much as possible.
Yes. Yeah. More so to learn, mm-hmm. more than anything, that instead of, going to the grocery store and picking up some Tylenol or something, go check out this small business, and hey, she's got this, this type of rub or, something, right. salve that could help, something along those lines, instead of just always resorting to big pharma. Mm-hmm. So
this is something that I've slowly, and when I say slowly, I mean slowly, started to do within our house. My son gets very hyper on red dye. So that's one that we've slowly started to like get out of the house, and as good as I can. I mean, I'm not perfect. Like we had Doritos the other day, which have red dye in them, but it is what it is. But it's even something that like I make him aware of. And so he'll be mm-hmm. like, oh, Mom, I can't have these fruit snacks, or maybe I shouldn't have these fruit snacks because they got a lot of red dye in them. And I'm like, you are correct, sir.
Right.
So this is something that's very intriguing to me because, like I said, I've slowly started to bring in like more holistic products and mm-hmm. pay attention to the labels and whatnot. So when you do have somebody like me who's interested in learning more, you sharing the other resources is super helpful.
Hey guys, we're going to jump into an ad real quick. Listen now, I love to shop for clothes, but I also love to be seen when I am shopping, like I am an actual person. Well, the Clothesline Boutique in Gillette, Wyoming has amazing clothes along with top-notch customer service. Kayla always has new items and videos to go along with them. So if I'm shopping online, I can know exactly what size I need to order. And just for you guys, she's giving you 25% off of your first order. Heck yes. So search the Clothesline on your app store. And when you check out, use code WELCOME and you are going to save. Again, search the Clothesline on your app store. And when you check out, use code WELCOME and you will save 25% off of your order.
I ask this every interview. Have you ever had what Haley likes to call the crying in the closet moment, to where you're like, why am I doing this? Is this worth it? What am I going to do? The world is failing. It's falling all around me moment. I know that was very dramatic, but that's how it feels sometimes.
It does feel that way sometimes. So that one was here not too long ago with the health inspector saying that he was going to pull my product out of the store. When in all reality, what I should have done was called him to begin with. I'm going to be working with him sooner or later anyways.
Right.
Start establishing that relationship. But it was rough. Like from the time that he started it to the time that he said he was going to go ahead and just pull the stuff. I come to find out it was because what he had told the first person was incorrect. And I did not know that because nobody reached out to me to tell me that. So, but I was to the point of, maybe this isn't my thing. Maybe I need to, either sell it, pass it on, just be completely done. Is this where God wants me right now? Do I need to be focusing elsewhere? Yeah, those 2 weeks sucked. Like it wasn't bad. You kind of fall into like the deep hole.
Yes, you do. You spiral.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's humbling in a sense, because then like you feel like you're not like being successful in life, I guess you could say. And that's just kind of where the devil gets into your brain and really gets discouraging. But then like you wake up one day and then you're fine.
Right.
And that's kind of how it was, after I talked to him to get everything situated and make sure we're on the same page with everything, he was decent to talk to and stuff. I was like, wow, that wasn't so bad. Why did I wait so long to do this? But like, I just didn't want to call him to begin with because it was intimidating, right. and I was insecure about it. And I didn't want to get in trouble because I don't like to, I'm a stickler for, things looking nice. And I take pride in my products and how they look. And for him to say, well, hey, this is worded wrong. But then tell somebody else that, it was worded right.
Yeah.
That was it. Anyways, it was a learning experience. But it was very discouraging at the same time.
Well, and he didn't have like a definite answer for you right away, did he?
No, he didn't. He had to call somebody else because he didn't know what type of wordage to use. What he had first said, the wordage he had first said to use was that he said was correct was actually not correct. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was being told was the one that he said was correct when it really wasn't.
Yeah.
So it was, and then nobody like reached out to me to tell me that, oh, hey, it's still wrong. Never mind. I just spent another $500 on labels trying to fix it to where he said it needed to be worded.
Right.
Come to find out that it was wrong to begin with. So that was annoying and expensive. I have all these labels now that I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with them? But so that's, yeah, there's been a few frustrating moments like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just where, you don't want to, like, being in the stores, that you pay rent on or that you pay commission on, you don't want to have to cover that out of pocket. Right. You want to be able to sell enough product to cover that and make it worth it. We live 40 miles from Gillette. So whenever I'm in Gillette, I factor in the gas to get there. And there was the one store that I ended up pulling out of. There was a few months where I had to pay the rent on that out of pocket because I didn't sell anything. And then I was just like, I think it's time to go ahead and pull out.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a good thing. And, I left on good terms. I still see the owner gal every once in a while around town. And that's the biggie, is just not burning bridges.
Right.
And there's some bridges that you can't help. They burn, but sometimes those bridges that burn needed to be burned too. But right. In this case, it all went well, and everybody was happy, and I moved into 3 more stores, and I don't have to pay rent on anything now.
Right.
Because it all pays for itself.
So along this journey, has there ever been a time where you just look back and you like laugh or are like, oh my gosh, I made this huge mistake and I cannot believe that I just did that?
So I have kind of a funny story. This was 2 years ago. So it was February, Valentine's Day, around that time, February of 2022. So being in the elderberry world, there's different Facebook pages to network with other elderberry dealers throughout the United States and even like the UK. So I was in one of those groups, and there was a gal in there. I can't even remember where she was from now, but she worked on she sold wholesale products to different elderberry people. Or elderberry, businesses. And she offered this Valentine's Day chocolates. And basically, literally, it was just like little chocolates that she said had elderberry in it.
Okay.
And it was gorgeous. It looked really nice. Just the presentation of it looked good. The chocolate was thick. And she was sending out samples and stuff like that. So I got samples and I thought it tasted good, but I didn't really think it tasted like the fruity, kind of a fruity flavor of elderberry. But I thought, well, maybe, it's in there somewhere. It just isn't that much. So I went ahead and ordered probably $500 worth of, maybe $600 worth of these chocolates, and to get ready to sell for Valentine's Day, kind of a seasonal type product. Well, not even a week before, it was probably 3 days before it was going to release. And I had made a big deal about it on Facebook, releasing new product available this day, perfect for Valentine's Day, blah, 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 blah. 3 days before it actually released, a different elderberry gal, her name was Cassie. Cassie messaged me and she said, hey, did you buy chocolates from such and such? And I said, yes. Why? And I had never talked to this gal before or anything. She's from Wisconsin, this gal. And she said that she said, don't sell the chocolate. It has no elderberry in it. The people who she bought the chocolate from, they have a warehouse by her house where she lives in Wisconsin. And she reached out to them because she thought it was kind of fishy. So she reached out to the chocolate place in Wisconsin, and they said, we have no elderberry in this chocolate at all. And at that point, this Cassie gal, she was way bigger business than I am. But she had already been selling it too. So she did the right thing, refunded these people, but she was reaching out to other people, us elderberry dealers, to find out if we had bought the product, to basically just kind of spread the word, because the original gal had not. She ended up messaging me, the gal who I bought them from, but it was like a week later. And at that point, I'm like, I don't want these. They tasted good, but I'm like, I have $500 worth of chocolate that, what am I going to do now? If you take it back, I don't know, I don't really know this girl, but she had a lot of followers, and she had her own wholesale group and everything too. And that I was in. Well, she ended up refunding. And then I did send her back the chocolates too. Well, what we hadn't eaten anyways, us personally. But it is the elderberry world is a small world, and it is really cool to network. And I had bought a couple things wholesale from another lady, which was Cassie, the lozenges that I had offered here last year before. But she's not doing them anymore, and they are a lot of work to do anyway. So I can understand her point, but buying wholesale from people, especially whenever it comes to this type of product, you really got to do your research on it. And that was huge. Thankfully I hadn't sold any, but I was 3 days away from selling it. So I had everything prepped, everything, in these cute little packages, these cute little bundles ready to go. So I'd spent all the money to get everything prepped for that. And it just came kind of crashing down. So, and it was irritating because, here I boasted all over Facebook that, we're going to be releasing this product. We can't wait, blah, 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 keep an eye out, this and that. And I had friends local texting me, what is it? And then to have to make a post saying, oh, hey,
just
guess
kidding.
What? Yeah. Well, this is what happened. And I did explain it in a nice way, because this gal, she was under the understanding that they had the elderberry powder sprinkled over the top of them, is what she told me anyways. I don't know. And I don't really care at this point. It's irrelevant. But that was, so I don't buy wholesale from
just anybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, and that's a problem that I see with Facebook. Facebook's amazing, especially for, like you said, connecting with people that are in the same industry as you and everything. but there's no vetting process. Like,
Exactly.
unless you deep dive into the product or deep dive into the individual, like, you can get screwed over so easily.
Very, yeah. And I would love to bring on elderberry gummies.
Uh-huh.
And so when I first started, I had brought on elderberry gummy kits.
Okay.
And it was literally everything to make the gummies, but you make them. And this gal, the one who had the elderberry chocolates, like, she also sells the gummies wholesale too. But they have a bunch, like, corn syrup in there, and oh my gosh, just some other, I can't remember what the other ones. The corn syrup was, I'm like, no, that's a no-go.
Right.
But there's different things different ingredients that you have to add into it to make it so you don't have to refrigerate it.
Right.
And I can understand her sense there, but that's not that's not the direction I want my business to go.
Right.
We're getting away from processed foods. I don't want corn syrup in any of my stuff. So I have not played around with elderberry gummies, although I do have people ask me all the time.
I was going to say, I would love them.
Oh, me too, but they would be a lot of work.
Would they?
They would be a lot of work.
Is that one of the things to where when the commercial kitchen
Yes.
comes to play, that would maybe be a little easier?
For sure.
For like molds and cooling processes. And
yeah. I think so. That is a goal of mine. But at that point I would probably hire somebody to help me making those. I did actually hire a lady, a gal, she's 16, a homeschooler this past fall to help me and getting into my busy season. And I thought, this would be great. She's homeschooled. I have her for, 3-hour window every day, or a couple days a week. And it was great the first few weeks. She was a wonderful worker. She seemed like she's having fun. And then like the third week, she's like, well, I'm busy this week. And then like the next week, well, I'm busy this week. I'm like, okay, I'll just do this myself.
Right.
So this coming fall, I'm going to be looking more for just seasonal help at this point. But then once I get the shop built and I get things going there in the kitchen, realistically probably find one other person, at least part-time or full-time, just year round, to help, because at that point I'm gonna need some extra help. So I need help now as it is, but we make do.
I feel you on that one. So you keep saying your busy season. When is your busy season and why is it busy?
So my busy season starts around August and it slows down.
It never ends.
No, it really doesn't, but it slows down around this month. I say like toward the end of March and mid-April. So everybody's going back to school in August, and all your kids are getting sick, and germs, and germs.
Petri dishes is what I call mine. Little Petri dishes.
Well, our 4 kids are in school now.
Yes.
So they bring home every little snot-nosed little booger and germ that you can think of. And so everybody's stocking up. This season has been it's been more busy than normal with my business also, but just as a whole. And then May also seems like May, there's some kind of, whether it's a stomach bug or some kind of sinus crud, May, I see an uptick in business in May too.
Stocking up for the summer.
Something, yeah. And we usually, us personally, we usually take a break in the summer from drinking elderberry syrup because we're outside. So you get the sun, and we don't really wear shoes when we're outside. So we get that grounding sense. We spend, and we're busy in the summer months too. So we don't really drink much of the syrup in the summer until school's getting ready to start again. And we drink it every day.
So with it then, I guess I didn't realize that. So it's not like a daily additive. It's more of like as you need it, or how do you like recommend taking it?
So we do the syrup. You can do both.
Okay.
We do it in our family just because we have 4 kids. We do it every day, every morning. I set it up by the coffee pot, and the kids all, when they walk past the sink, they all take, we don't even measure it anymore. To be honest, we just drink it straight from the jar. It's just easier. I have the shot glasses for the kids too, but they just prefer and that's extra dishes to do too, that I don't want to do. So some people prefer to take it when they start feeling the cold, like the scratchy throat, starting to kind of feel under the weather. They'll start drinking it then, but we do it every day. And then if there's a lot, like there was a stomach bug going around at school last month. So I told the girls, let's double up. So in the morning and at night.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. You can take a shot or a tablespoon every couple hours when you're feeling sick.
Okay.
So that's the nice part, is you can't really overdo it per se.
Yeah.
As you can, like the over-the-counter meds,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So,
and then like when summertime kind of rolls around and you're getting more of the natural sunlight, more of just being outside, then you can like lay off on it a little bit if you don't feel cruddy or anything.
Yeah, we usually don't take it. We just take a bit of a break in the summer months.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't drink. I mean, I have it in the fridge if we do need it, but we rarely get sick in the summer.
Right.
I mean, we're always gone too. So that it's kind of nice with the nice weather. Really what it does to our bodies.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, yes, especially living here.
Right.
So what do you think is like one of the biggest struggles that your industry is facing?
So what I have problems with is supplies.
Okay.
More so my jars. And buying bulk jars is difficult to find. A lot of the websites where you can buy bulk from charge an outrageous price for shipping.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of get creative, and that is a big struggle that I've really had problems with.
So do you have like a buyback program, or like if they bring a jar back, you give them $1 back, or do you have anything like that that's set up?
I do currently. Now, whenever I move to the commercial kitchen, I don't think I can reuse the jars.
Probably not.
That's my understanding. But I do have a jar return punch program, and it's just like a business card. And when you bring a jar back, you get a punch. And I say bring a jar back. There's a couple businesses, which is on the back of the card. There's a couple of businesses that participate that take my jars, and they have those cards and then the little punch, the hole punch there at their store. So you just bring it in there, they can get you set up. There's only a handful of stores that have that, which is nice to have the jars back. I have ran into a few issues with, I don't like to have to reuse the jars, but I've been to the point where I've been reusing them. I've ran into issues with the tops, like the jar lids, like when people, if they don't have like an easy pour lid and they're using a spoon, they'll tap the spoon on the side of the jar, the rim, and it'll actually chip the glass. Okay. I can't seal anything.
No.
I mean, it's pretty much done for it.
Right.
I mean, you can use it for other stuff, but for what I need to use it for, you can't use that. So I've ran into issues with that. And I've had like 2 jars bust on me too. And that is
a mess.
Sticky. And yeah, I mean, it smells good, but that's all it's got. Otherwise, it's not very, it's just messy.
So I'm going to assume I know the answer on this one, but going to plastic is like a hard no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a no.
Okay.
It depends. So for the elderberry syrup, plastic is no. For other products, for other things, yes. Okay. I have one thing that I'm working on that's a seasonal item, and that's going to be going in plastic.
Okay.
But that one, that's okay going in the plastic. But the elderberry syrup, no.
Okay.
That's got to be glass.
Does it like absorb the plastic particles, or what's your reasoning behind it?
I can't seal it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it was staying in the fridge, sure. But I mean, you do have to deal with that too, the liquid and the absorption of the plastics too. I just don't want to take it. I'm not a big fan of plastic anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't want it really much in my product.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be taking it, I don't necessarily want other people taking it either.
Yeah, that makes sense. So at the end of March, you posted that you had a new product coming, and it was this beautiful glass jar with like elderberries bouncing up and down on it. Can you tell me what it is?
So that was a new batch of elderberry extract.
Okay.
So and I had actually just put the elderberries in the jar with the liquor in there. It's vodka is what it was. And it was so gorgeous. So I'm like, I gotta take a video of this. It was just simple and just pretty, and it was cool watching the berries jump up and down.
It was.
And now my jar is completely, it like looks black.
Purple, so she showed it to me, and it does not look the same anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not as pretty.
No, it's not.
So, but yeah, that was my newest product. The elderberry extract. It's in 4-ounce bottles, and then little 2-ounce bottles too. And it is only available at the Urban Basket in Gillette. And I don't have enough to spread throughout the different stores at this point.
Okay.
I have another batch going, but it'll be another 6 weeks before that's ready. And I don't think that'll probably be enough for all of my other stores.
Right.
We'll just kind of see what the demand is.
Mhm.
It's been doing well though at the Urban Basket. So
Good. So then are you always trying to come up with new ideas, or what's your thought process on that?
So I do like to bring on new items. My biggie with new items is seasonal.
Okay.
So Christmas time, this past Christmas, I did elderberry jelly, which was a huge hit, and it was really good. And then I also did elderberry infused maple syrup.
Oh, okay.
To actually like go on your pancakes. And I actually did like a cute little bundle. I made a pancake mix, and then the maple syrup, and put them together and like shrink wrap, and it was a cute. I called it Christmas morning bundle, and that did very well. So I'll probably bring that back again this year. And then I am working on every spring, every summer, I bring on elderberry lemonade.
Okay.
And that it kind of goes through the summer months. That's nice too, because it does bring in revenue in the summer months when the elderberry syrup slows down. Everybody wants, the cold drinks in the summertime, which is understandable. So they've been buying the elderberry lemonade. And this year I'm doing something a little bit different with the lemonade, but I can't say yet. But that'll come I guess it'll come debut May 1st.
Okay.
So that'll be my testers. I've had 3 people test it, and it's turned out really well. So the feedback that I've gotten from it.
Yeah.
So
when you do your seasonal items, is that something that you try to bring back, or do you kind of just play it by ear? Like, hey, this sold really good. Or if it was like phenomenal, is it something that you bring on for like year round, like the jam? Jelly?
So yeah, they're both pretty much the same.
Okay. I mean, one has more sugar. That's the only thing I've ever learned from jelly versus jam.
Yeah, there's not a huge difference. One's got the actual seeds and the other one's just like the juice.
Oh, okay.
The whole plant, or the whole jam has got the whole thing, and then the jelly is with just like the juice. I know it's weird. It's pretty much the same though. So as far as like bringing back seasonal items, the lemonade has always been seasonal.
Yep.
So when I first started lemonade, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, it's probably 3 years now. For the sweetener in the lemonade, it was like just an actual jar of lemonade that I had canned. What I used for the sweetener, instead of sugar, I used honey, and that was great. It went really well. It tasted good. Well, it was to the point where, with the cost of jars going up and labeling and my time and just the other supplies involved with it, it got to be too much. So I went ahead and switched to organic cane sugar the following summer, and that did great. And that's what I've done the last 2 summers. So then this summer, I'll be doing something slightly different, but it'll be just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
Than the prior years. And it's going to be different just cost wise.
Right.
I don't want to be upcharging our customers. If I wouldn't pay for that, then I wouldn't expect my customers to pay for that kind of thing. So I try to make sure everything price wise falls within their budgets too, as it would my budget, being a customer too. So so that always comes back every year. The elderberry jelly, that will come back again this year. That did very well last year, and it was fun, and the labels were cute. My favorite part of it was creating the labels. Jelly can be kind of finicky to make. It's either super hard or super runny, and trying to find that in between spot can be challenging. And I've been a canner for the last 6 years, probably 7 years. So I've had a lot of practice with making jelly before. So I've learned a little bit over. So figuring out the elderberry jelly was not that difficult.
Okay.
I mean, I had a couple runs where one was too hard, and then the other one was too runny. But other than that, finding that in between. The maple syrup, I'm not sure if I'll bring that back.
Okay.
I might. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It was a lot of work, and I'm one person, and I pour everything. I create the product. I cook it. And then I have to pour it into each of the bottles one by one.
Right.
And then I shrink wrap the lids on some of my products, not all of them. Some of them I shrink wrap the lids one by one, label them, each one person doing all that, and expiration dates and all that kind of stuff. So this past busy season was
busy,
very busy. Yeah. So having that extra person would have relieved some stress off my plate. So hopefully this year, if I can get some help, then we'll for sure bring it back.
Yeah.
So
cool.
But yeah, it's been fun. And then I have these little bundles too. I call it like the everything bundle. So it's got these they look like tubes. of each of my tea blends. I have a tea ball in there. I have a small elderberry honey in there. And then I have a small jar of elderberry syrup, and then the honey stick too, a dipstick. And that's more of like a thinking of you gift or a birthday gift, or, just any kind of random get well soon kind of thing. I like to send those out to my friends. Also that don't live here, if I know that they're not feeling well or they just need to pick me up. So I did create that also. And that does well too.
Good.
So,
and not even that, like, I feel like it'd be like an introduction to all your products too, because, I've used the elderberry, but I've not ever used any of the kits. So I've been kind of eyeing all the products, and I'm like, hey, that would be perfect to kind of get my feet wet into everything that you offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah. It does very well, especially like around Christmas time too. There was one lady last Christmas, she had ordered like 25 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I sent them all out to different coworkers of hers, and gave her some to give to whoever it was here locally she was giving it to. So that was a lot to do, but it was fun because they are fun to do, and they look really nice whenever they're all finished. It's just a nice gift, just an all around gift. So, but that's not so much seasonal. That's just kind of like year round type thing.
Yep.
Now, so I was able to get enough supplies to be able to make them on demand now, which is nice. Before I was limited on when I could make them kind of thing. So
I kind of like to end the interviews always the same way. If you could go back in time and tell yourself some sort of advice, or, hey, don't be so hard on yourself, or whatever it is, when you were just starting, what would you tell yourself?
Don't say yes to everything. I would get asked a lot to donate to this and donate to this and donate to that. And, when you're first starting, you want to help build that trust and get your name out there and get your face out there. So I had to learn to kind of cut back on that. Also the different shows, I'm in different vendor shows, learning that, learning to say no to different ones. And some shows you don't really know how they're going to be or how they're going to do. But when I first started, I hit every single show that I could.
Yep.
And I had some of them where I made like $100. I'm like, well, this sucks. Like, was it even worth it? No, it wasn't.
Right.
So learning those ones and making diligent notes on each of them, which I was very grateful. At first, I'm like, should I make notes? I'm like, no, and I thought, well, I probably ought to. And I was glad. I was very thankful, because then the following year, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that show again. Just not saying yes to everything has been huge.
So it's funny that you talk about shows, because one big thing that I learned about doing shows is, like, you have to pay attention to who is going to be coming into this show. Like flea markets were not for me, because my customers don't typically go to flea markets. And with you saying keeping notes, I used to make like, this was this many days long, and the hours were this, and I made this much money, and the entry fee was this much, and I profited this much. Like, I had details.
Yeah.
I was very detailed about shows. And just so, like you said, you can look back and be like, hey, this is not worth my time to go to this. So no, I'm not going to go again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I am very, very grateful for, so when it comes to shows now, whenever it comes to shows, I work kind of side by side with the people who I get my honey. The people who I get my honey from.
Okay.
RGBs is Renee and Colt. And we kind of split the shows. So they'll do some, and then I will do some. And then this past Christmas busy season, they had a couple people that they knew that filled in. Like, I would be at a show, Renee would be at a show, Colt would be at a show, and then like one or two other people would be at a different show or different shows on the same day. So it has been nice to network with them, actually really more so just build a good relationship, a good friendship with them, because we consider them our close friends. And I'll be seeing Renee tonight, actually. And so having the networking and just the relationship of that, to be able to kind of like split our workloads. And they've been hustling their business, and they've done extremely well. And I've been trying to hustle my business, and I think I'm doing okay anyways. But that's been kind of I don't want to say a learning curve, but something that I've been extremely grateful for with building this relationship is, and the people that you meet at the shows also that end up becoming like your friends, and like you hang out with them, and like, and they can share different words of advice because they've been doing these shows for however many years. Whereas, this was like in December, I was one show. It was my biggest show of the year. And there were some people there. I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what to expect. But then some people there that I had seen from other shows, I asked them, what do we plan for?
Right.
What are you seeing? This and that. And they're very encouraging.
Yeah.
And that was very nice. Very, very nice to see. So networking with other people, just meeting other vendors that are trying to hustle their businesses. I'm trying to hustle mine.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool. That's been one of my favorite parts.
I love it. Well, that's all that I have. Is there anything that you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Well, thank you
Thank
much
you. Yeah.
for sitting down with me and telling me all about it. It's been fun to see how you started to where you're at now. And I love that your products are so clean and easy to use and not just that good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will have all of your links down below, but can you tell everybody where they can find you at?
So you can find me on Instagram, although I don't use it much. Facebook, that's primarily what I use.
And then it's
Facebook.
just under the Buckin Farmacy?
Yep, under the Buckin Farmacy, and it's Farmacy. And then also my website, thebuckinfarmacy.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll have them linked. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, another great episode in the books. I loved how Brianne told us all of the stories. And I just have to say how creative she is. I love that she always is coming up with new ideas, and there is way more testing that goes into her business than I would have ever thought. So keep in mind, she does have a website. So even if you're not from Wyoming, you can still get her products in your hands. So make sure to check her out. I definitely came home with some of her products, and I will for surely be giving you guys some reviews this week. So with that, that's all that I have for today's episode, and thank you for joining me. If you would like to watch the video version, you can find it in the link below or search Brassy Business Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok so we can stay in touch. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Brassy Business Podcast is a Black Cows production.